The Janet Harms Show. Starring Janet Harms. Chris Kalt. And Pam Kalt.
Hi, my name is Janet Harms, and I'm here today interviewing my guest, Christopher Kalt, as my profile assignment. Hi, Christopher. How are you?
Great. Nice to meet you, Janet.
Nice to meet you, too. Thank you for doing this for me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
And thanks for letting us do it in your house.
No problem at all.
Let's just get into it here. I have quite a few questions for you.
Okay. Sounds good.
So tell me a little bit about where you grew up and how your family life was.
I was born in Camden, New Jersey in 1961, and I was there only till I was about 13. My dad was in oil, and he decided, we're going to have to be relocated to California. So we moved to Fullerton in 1974. My mom and dad were real good people. They were completely different personality-wise, and what they liked in life. Music, they were completely different. My dad was into classical, orchestral pieces. My mom was rock and roller. My dad, he started as a mailroom boy and worked his way up to, he paid the bills for the company. He was real big, handled a lot of money. Very religious, devout Christian Catholics. So I was raised Catholic all the way through high school. I graduated from a Catholic high school. They were excellent parents. My father has passed. He passed when he was only 54 years old. My mom's still here. She's probably going to outlive me. Looks great. She's in terrific health, and I hang out with her all the time. She's a wonderful lady. Don't know what I'd do without her. My dad and I, we were a little bit different as well, so we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. We did have a few scuffs, but in the long run, we got along wonderfully, and they were wonderful parents. I couldn't ask for anybody better.
That's great. How did your parents influence you?
My dad, I think, even though we're really different personality-wise and everything, he was probably a bigger influence on me than anybody else, because he was very knowledgeable in everything. I mean, he was like a jack of all trades. He had an IQ of 147, very intelligent. He had like 3 master's degrees and a boatload of bachelor degrees, and he taught me everything I know. I wouldn't say I was good as him, but I do. Well, when I wasn't as disabled as I am now, but I used to do almost everything around this house. Electrical, plumbing, auto repair, all that stuff he taught me. My mom taught me how to respect people. She was more of the disciplinary than my dad, but both of them were a big influence.
Would describe a typical day in your childhood?
Well, kind of like the nuclear family type thing, go out and, I go to school in the morning, and sometimes I walk to school. You could do that back then, even when I was like 8 years old, I walked to school. But, I love playing with toys, trucks, cars. I love riding a bike, hanging out with my friends. And kids didn't hang around the house, everybody was out. And you had to be home before the street lights came on, and you ate your dinner. Everybody ate the same food at the table. If you didn't like it, you didn't eat. But just typical as any other kid, really.
You mentioned you went to Catholic school. Where did you go to school for? Was that for throughout your whole school years, elementary, junior high, high school, or just high school? You went to Catholic school. Where did you go to school?
I went to Catholic school my whole entire life. Started out in 1967 at St. Charles Borromeo in Cinnaminson, New Jersey. A very short period of time, because in 1970, moved to Runnymede, New Jersey, and I started going to a parish there called St. Teresa's, and went to the elementary school there. St. Charles also had a school there, and that's where I went to elementary in the early years. Then we moved to California in 1974, and I went to St. Philip Benizi in Fullerton, and they had a school as well, but the school went bankrupt. I've moved away from the Catholic Church since then, but I learned a lot of values from Catholicism.
Do you remember your first day of school?
Oh yeah, very much.
Well,
Actually, I have 8mm film on it, and it's funny you said that because I watched it recently, and you probably remember those funky plaid dresses that the girls had to wear, almost like kilt-looking things, and the boys had to wear a shirt and tie. I had to wear like a bow tie with this gray blazer, and had the school patch name on it and everything. It cost like $1 million, but we bought a set of those, and that's why I went to school. And I had a little book bag or a little suitcase looking thing, had a shake case, and I thought I was badass.
What teacher had the greatest impact on you?
There's some that really hot teachers that I thought were cute, but they didn't really have an impact, education wise. Oh boy. There was a science teacher in high school, and he was a crack up. I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he was a funny guy, and he would just come up with random stuff. He'd start talking about farts, the science behind it and all this and that. And everybody, he told us what the word flatus, we never heard of that before, or flatulence. So every day, if somebody farted in class, they'd be going, flatus, But he was a crack up.
What was the happiest day of your childhood?
I'd say probably 1979 was my favorite year because I was a senior, and that year was really fun because I was, you don't have to go to school that much. There's a lot of partying. There was disco, lots of girls that I was just having a blast. It was, I'd say that whole entire year was great.
What was the saddest day of your childhood?
Our house caught on fire in 1969 in New Jersey. We had a fire and we're almost killed. It was my sister, who has asthma, started coughing, and she was the one who actually woke us all up, because I would have never woken up. I mean, the whole entire house was full of black smoke. My mom suddenly burst into my room and flipped the light on, and I could hardly see her. And she's screaming for me to get up. So I get up. My mom grabs my sister. We're in our pajamas. My dad grabs me. We all go outside just like that, and he throws us in the snow, and he says, wait here. And he went inside and put the fire out. He wasn't going to wait for the fire department, but Dad was going to do it himself, and he did. The water heater exploded in the basement and set off this huge, massive fire. So we lived at I lived at my grandma's for a while, and my mom and Dad gutted the house themselves and redid it themselves. And a couple months later, we went back there, and the house was like good as new. They did it themselves. We couldn't afford to hire people to do it or anything like that.
Wow.
We were really, really poor back then. The house we bought was only $8,000, the first house. My mom and Dad's payment was like $35, $40 a month. And it was a dump, but it was home. And we had nice Christmases there and stuff like that.
As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Disc jockey.
I'm your humble and beloved.
Always wanted to be a DJ. I've had this voice since I was like 13 or 14. Used to call up girls, and that were my age. I was like 14. call a house, a mother or a father would answer, and they say, "Who the hell is this?" And I said, "This is Chris. I'd like to talk to your daughter. I'd like to take her, to dance or whatever." And so they go, "Who the hell is this guy? he sounds like he's 35, you know. And then they meet me and they go, oh, okay, he's just a kid with a deep voice. Radio is just my thing, and being a DJ and making people have fun. We did, listener parties, and we just gave out albums, and we just had good old time. It was fun. I got to live my dream.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't get to do that.
I know. You're right.
Who were your childhood heroes? I
was really young. He had passed away, and I was a little guy, but John F. Kennedy, I think he's almost everybody's hero back then. He's a very good president, and sad when he got killed. He was a great guy, and I think he's very inspirational to not me, but lots of people. Dad, of course, like I said, we butt heads all the time, but he's the man that put me on the road to success, and he didn't tolerate nonsense. He was one of my big heroes. What
were your favorite books, movies, movie stars, sports heroes, singers during your childhood?
All-time favorite movies, that's very easy. First one is Night of the Living Dead by the grandfather of zombie movies, George A. Romero. Came out in 1968. I actually saw it in the movie theater, in a drive-in movie theater. I was terrified, but I loved it, and I became a horror fan after that. The Exorcist, 1973, saw that. Jaws, another great film. It was a record-breaking film back then. There's some comedies like Back to the Future's franchise. I like that. All the Freddy movies, all the Jason movies. I'm just I love blood and guts. I got bloodlust. And I just said, look at that stuff like that. No, don't worry though. I don't have any machetes or anything around here, so Janet, you don't have to worry about it.
Thank you. I'm glad to know that.
She's probably going, why did I pick this guy? What was I thinking? Music, I've always been into almost any kind of music. I was into all the rock and roller bands, Zeppelin, Aerosmith, also I was big into disco. I love disco. I love that scene. I was involved with it. I was a disco DJ for a while. I did the Angel Flight suit thing, the 3-piece with, tight ass and platform shoes and big old bell bottoms. Just almost anything, country music. And I do enjoy, Bach, Beethoven, Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. I'm not prejudiced when it comes to music. Sadly, I'm not a big reader. I enjoyed a lot of poetry, mainly by, if I actually read a book, it was Edgar Allan Poe, Dark, the Macabre. So I enjoyed his stuff, The Telltale Heart and The Raven, but not a lot of reading. I did read some books from movies like Jaws, because I liked it so much. But mostly reference materials, stuff to learn things about, mainly the industry I'm in. But not really a big reader. I'll read online, watch documentaries. I usually absorb my information from stuff like that now.
Movie stars or sports heroes?
When I was a kid, I liked Burt Reynolds. I thought he was hysterical. And I loved his funny movies, and I always thought Burt Reynolds needs to win an Academy Award. I'm never going to get him an Academy Award for, Smoking a Bandit. But anyways, I thought he should have won an Academy Award. That's how, much I like that guy. I liked Roger Moore. Not only him, but I watched all the Bond films, but his in particular. I thought his were the best.
No sports heroes?
Well, this is going to be probably before everybody else's time, but back in the day, when I lived in New Jersey, my team was the Philadelphia Philadelphia Phillies. And so a lot of my guys were like Larry Boa, Donnie Most. Football, Roman Gabriel, he was a quarterback. Roger Starbuck, later on, I thought he was fabulous, probably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He was with, Dallas. Bob Greasy with Miami Dolphins, he was great. Never been a basketball fan, but I do enjoy baseball, but I don't have any particular sports figure I like.
Thank you.
Well, except for the ones I mentioned earlier with the Phillies. Nowadays, nah.
Who had the greatest influence on you during your childhood?
My dad. I mean, he was a wealth of information. And, I thought he was great. And he was by big influence all around.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, were you a popular teenager?
I wasn't until I got into radio. Then I became very popular because everybody was trying to get free crap out of me, including my teachers in high school.
Really?
Yeah, I got to tell you right now, I suck at math. Anything to do with numbers or angles or anything like that, bad. I had a geometry teacher who knew I sucked, and he tried to make a deal with me. He says, if you give me all the albums and concert tickets I want, you'll get an A+ in this class. No problem. And this is a parochial school too, mind you. So, good, really good people running that place. You know what I mean? I said no. I got my grade that I got. It was like a D+, but I passed. And I was still on the honor roll anyways in high school. So, to you, buddy.
What is your earliest memory?
Well, actually, my memory goes back way, way back, and my mom cracked up when I said this. I asked my mom, do you remember when you and I would sit at the kitchen table? I was really, really little, and you would hold me on your knee, and you pushed around little matchbox cars for me, and you took your fingernails and made like they're little people and go tick, 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 tick across the table. And she goes, oh my God, you're only like 2.
Wow.
And so, when John F. Kennedy died, I remember being at a grocery store and they announced it over the speaker when my mom was shopping. And, I don't remember a lot about the day or the significance. I just remember everybody was sad all of a sudden. But I have it all the way back to 2. If you ask me what I said, earlier this afternoon, I wouldn't remember. So, but
how did you meet your spouse?
My sister worked for her. My sister got a job at Taco Bell in Fullerton. That one doesn't exist either anymore. I knew some of the girls that worked there. Her best friend worked there too. I was dating the manager of the place. So, I knew them all, except for one. It was July 5th, 1980. And I was just hanging out, drunk, at Taco Bell, getting munchies with my buddy. And I saw this little cutie on the counter that her feet, she had to climb up on the counter because she was so short, and talking to the boss, who I was going out with. I was checking out the booty, looked real good. So she came over and saw me, and she sat down next to me, and I'm going, wow, this is nice. And she's drunk off her ass. So she's getting touchy-feely, and I'm going, awesome. Her boss didn't like that. She called her over and said, Pam, what the hell are you doing? And it stopped, but we kept seeing each other, and then eventually, we hooked up. It was on my birthday I was 19, I think. I met her when I was 18. July 5th was her day before her 20th birthday. And I remember, that's how I remember it. She told me that. So that's how I met her.
Describe your first date with her.
Well, first date. Wow. You know what? I don't remember. It's either at Movieland Wax Museum. I gotta admit, that was my first date place that I take all the girls at my first date. I would just take in the Movieland Wax Museum. So I'm thinking that was it, but I can't remember, to be honest with you. I'm probably gonna get my ass kicked for it. But I think that was it. Unfortunately, I don't remember. Even if it was it, I don't remember anything about it, which sucks. I mean, I gotta ask her. Maybe she don't remember. I don't know.
Describe your marriage proposal to her.
Oh, she hated it. There was a restaurant called Big Yellow House back in the day. I don't know if you remember that or anything. It looked like a big yellow house, a mansion, and it's home style cooking. And you go in there, you feel like you're sitting in somebody's living room, and had libraries and all this stuff. And it was really nice. And I brought the ring. Didn't propose to her there like I probably should have. When we got we went to the parking lot. We're sitting in my 1968 Chevy van. It was a real bucket, but that's where I did it. And I proposed to her in the front of my Chevy van, in the front seat. She was happy, of course, but she was. You can tell she was not really enthralled with the way I did it. I'm sure, she was thinking of this really extravagant, cool thing, but unfortunately I wasn't, that kind of a guy, I guess. When you're young, you don't think of crap like that, we don't think of Snow White and all those kinds of fairy tales. So
Describe your wedding and honeymoon.
Oh, the wedding was great. It was a non-denominational Christian church, really neat. Has the old steeple with the bell, and all that stuff. And my father-in-law popped for everything. It cost $10,000, and this is in 1986. That was a lot of change back then. So we had a great old time. We went to the Fox Fullerton, but that was great. We had a wonderful time. The honeymoon, we went to Hawaii, and it was just bliss. It was awesome.
How many kids do you have?
I only have one, to be honest, and don't be hating, but I'm not a big fan of children. Things accidentally happen sometimes, and so my son, Chris Jr., was born, and best thing ever, he's a great guy. We get along great. He's funny as hell. He's also did voiceovers and stuff like that as well.
You're watching the world's best in indie music videos. Cut and Dry Talent TV. Come see what you've been listening to. You're watching the world's best in indie music. Come see what you've been listening to.
But he is a character. He's a very successful guy. He's in his mid-30s now. I do not regret anything whatsoever with him. He is fantastic. I'm very proud of him. Very proud of the kid. He's been on his own since he was like 22. He said, I would never move. He told me I'd rather live in my car before moving back in the house, because a man doesn't do that. So he's that kind of a guy. So I love him very much, and so does Pam.
Tell me about his birth.
Well, it was at there used to be a hospital called Martin Luther King Hospital in Anaheim. No longer exists. I think it's a medical school now, but that's where the birth occurred. I got the call. I was at work, but I met up later. I made it in time. They put me in the funny, little booties and gown thing, and I went in there, and it was a C-section, and I wanted a boy, and I got just what I ordered, and so I was happy. And I told myself, and I told Pam, I said, if we get a boy, I don't care what you try to name him, it's going to be Christopher, okay? The first name. She got the middle name, but I won out on the first name.
Before you started your business, what did you do for work?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I was in radio. I worked in the printing business for a little bit. I also installed signs up, on buildings and poles and stuff like that. Auto mechanic. Actually did that for a long time. I did that parallel with my business. Because I didn't have any insurance, I used that job for my insurance and stuff like that. So I actually did that. I was in management. I started it so early with the video thing that, there wasn't a lot I did before that. But, it was the radio. And I also worked on a farm back in New Jersey. I started in 1970, 71. And I did it on the weekends. I made 25 cents an hour. And the old lady made me a big country breakfast. And I used to groom show horses and wagons, clean show wagons and stuff like that. And it was great. It was good country living in New Jersey. And that was my first job, actually, is that one.
How did you come up with the idea for your business, and what led you to that career?
I can blame my dad for this one, again, because he was really into film. He had shot film since the 50s. He had them all. I have them now. I digitized every single film he's ever shot since 1957, all the way up to the point of where he died. And but yeah, I was so cool. I was so interested in it, and the way he did it, composing shots and, setting lighting and white balance and all this stuff. I thought it was really, really cool. In 1973, I still have it on a piece of paper when I was a little kid. I drew a logo. It said CLK Studios with a circle around it. And that's the exact same logo I used until I closed my business down. I actually used that logo, and I still have my little thing. It's all like, you can tell a little kid drew it. And that's how long, I was into that stuff.
As a video editor, whose work do you admire the most, and why?
I think Richard Martinez, I believe. He is like a guerrilla filmmaker. When he first started, he had no money. He made a movie called, it's about a guitar player in Mexico who's like badass, and he made it with like zero money, and he edited it all himself. He edits almost everything he does, so he was probably not just for editing but everything else.
What project are you most proud of, and why?
I say one of the ones that stick in my mind all the time is we did, my son and I, it was a 2-day shoot. Actually, there's two. There's a tie for two. But this one, the guy, it was in 2007 is when we did it. His family calls me and were hysterical, and they said, do you videotape funerals? And I said, yes, we do. And he says, well, my son went to Iraq. He's only 20 years old. He was only there for 6 months. And he took a headshot from a sniper and was killed instantly. He says, can you do that for me? Because when you have a funeral, it's happening now. There's no, we'll do it in 2 months or a month down the road, like a wedding or whatever, or a year. It's now. So when you get a funeral, you basically got to drop everything and go. And he said it's going to be 2 days. So the kid was very popular in the community, and he was a police cadet. When he came back, they actually had my son and I walk out onto Long Beach. The actual, they closed down the landing strip. a private jet came in, a Lear jet. They used to pack all the soldiers like sardines in a big old carrier type plane. They brought us out on the field and they brought the body out, and all the family walked out there, and the first time they saw their son since he left, and it wasn't in a good way. But it's very touching. I remember to this day, my son remembers this to this day. The funeral itself, which is the next day, there was hundreds of people, a standing room only. The mayor was there, the entire police department, Patriot guards, all this stuff were all there as well. So it was really neat. Second one was 2018, and it's the Barstow Beauty Pageants out there. It's the oldest independent, local pageant in the entire country. We did the show, and the host of the show is a TV announcer, and also he's on, he's a news guy. He's on KFI radio and stuff like that. I knew who he was. He said, "Hey Chris, I want to put this on the air at an NBC affiliate I work for in the high desert." So I go, okay. He says, "So we got to cut it for TV," which I did. And I thought he was going to send it back for more cuts or whatever. And he said the first cut was perfect. And so we did an 1.5-hour special. And so it was fantastic watching, my son and I watching a show that we produced and did everything ourselves, editing, camera work, everything, and then having it shipped to NBC affiliate, having it broadcast, and then the network created a commercial for me for free.
How do you stay up to date on the latest video editing tools and trends?
Oh gosh, I'm always on the internet, and I'm always checking it out all the time. I'm just always keeping up with cameras, some software. But most of the you can get a lot of freeware out there, which is great. So I have a lot of freeware as well.
How do you deal with a director who continually changes the project sequence?
I know there is going to be changes made while you're filming something. It always happens. You're going to come across something, it just doesn't work. Either it's the lines in a script, or the scene itself sucks or whatever. I haven't really had major tiffs with any directors, but they can be very aggressive. But you have your disagreements. My son and I had disagreements all the time. I taught him everything that he knows, but all of a sudden he became better than me, he said. So, he's trying to teach me, what's up. And I'm going, all right, no, we're going to do it my way, boy. That kind of thing.
What do you think is the most important role the video editor plays?
Well, he carries the story, basically. If there's too long of a pause in a scene, some things have to be almost rapid fire, and you got to keep an action scene going. They say that people nowadays, their attention span is only for 4 to 8 seconds. So they have to, you'll see now more so in the past where, a lot of scenes are just changing all the time in a show. You'll notice it just switching. And they have shaky cam, that try to keep people's attention.
If you made a movie, what might it be about?
I want to make a horror movie. Badly. I did make a movie. It was horrible. It was an independent film. A bunch of guys and myself started making it in 1986. It was financed by us. Didn't finish it till 1989. So that was the release date. It's on IMDb. Horrible acting, shitty, effects. We had blood capsules, in our, when you're trying to make bleed out of the mouth, the blood capsules are so old that the guy had to chomp on it for a while to make it, the blood spew out of his mouth, and we had a lot of fun doing it. But I want to make a horror movie. That's on my bucket list. I got to do it, but I just got to get my ass in gear. Of course, I got all the gear for it, everything I need. I just need actors, and I need to write a script.
What did you like most of your job in video production, and what did you like least?
Going to really bad locations where, it might be, in different scenarios. You might have like bad terrain. I did a music video, and it's supposed to be like in the middle of nowhere with like a desert scene with a stream, and we literally went like to nowhere, and it was horrible because we had to lug gear across the desert sand, and it's a pain in the ass. We didn't know we were gonna have to do that. The makeup woman was pissed because she had high heels on and a dress and all this stuff. She was all like real prissy. So there was a horse in the music video. There's a cowboy riding it in the video. So we threw her on top of the horse and let the horse carry her around, so she stopped bitching. So we also had a lot of violent stuff. We had some concerts where security didn't protect us as they should have, and we got kind of beat up, knocked around, almost lost $4,000 camera, people bumping into you, stuff. And security is supposed to be on top of it. I did a wedding in South Central LA one time. It was a referral. I didn't want to do it, but I did. I knew I was in trouble when we had to be scanned. There was a metal detector at the door and armed guards, and it was I guess it was like a gang thing. They want to make sure the opposite gang was going to shoot them or whatever. But it became violent in itself. The son and the father got a big fight. They accidentally threw the groom up. They threw him up in the air. He threw him through the ceiling. It was one of those drop down ceilings. So you get involved with a lot of violent stuff. Sometimes, and that's where it ends. In our contract, it says if any violence breaks out or whatever, we're out of there. Period. We use what we have, and that's that. And you still pay the price.
What did you like most about your job?
I think it was the people. A lot of times in the weddings, and one of the things we're known for is really chucking and jiving with the customers. And my son and I both did that. And one of the things we do is we would joke with customers and kind of pick on them. And another thing we'd do, and it was my son's thing, he started it, was to steal the garters. When they tossed the garter, he'd run out there and get it and catch it. So at this one wedding, they knew he was going to do it, so nobody got up there, and they just they just threw it to him. He had a shitload of gardeners garters hanging on his rear view mirror in his 1993 Nissan Sentra at the time. So we had a blast. People loved us for that. It was fun doing it, and everybody was good sports.
Why did you decide to start making videos to post on your YouTube?
It can be a big opportunity money-wise, because you're basically advertising yourself for free, and you're hoping for the big video. I've had a couple virals, where you pull in some good cash. It was basically, I would put a lot of goofball stuff and, personal things, but a lot of professional stuff, which, and I'm work in all different areas, so it's a mixed bag of tricks. It's a good source of, side cash. I'm not, like the top, YouTuber in the world making millions of dollars like some of these guys, but it's fun, and I still do it to this day.
How do you choose the videos you want to put on there?
Well, sometimes a situation that's occurring will spark me spark my interest in making a video. It'd be, a current event type issue, like we had fires out here. We always have fires out here. I see these fires, I grab my phone, I start recording. I drag the wife around, and we took footage everywhere, and the neighbors appreciated it. Put it on Facebook. That's where it really took off. And, so sometimes they find me, choose me. It may be just something that, like, I went to dinner with some friends at Aspire's restaurant in Ontario, and a bunch of guys rolled in with movie cars. The Kit car, they brought in the Back to the Future DeLorean, and Jurassic Park Ford Explorer, a whole row of these really cool cars. So I just broke out my phone and started doing that, and I made a video out of it. Some of them are well thought out, and some are just on the spur, on the fly.
When I was looking at your YouTube thing and researching you, I saw that you're retired now. Why did you retire?
Medical reasons. I've had problems since I was 30. I had a couple of heart attacks when I was 30 years old. I was a newspaper for that one because I was the youngest guy in Riverside County at the time to have a heart attack. I got what's called thrombocytosis, which is probably the cause of my all my blood clots. I had other blood clots as well. This is the cause of the heart attack. Then other wonderful little things here and there. And then in 2011, I discovered I had lupus. Automatically, you think you're going to die. So that, along with I started getting arthritis really bad, usually tied into lupus, and it hurt my spine, and my spine went all wacko, and I needed a spinal fusion. Don't have any tendons in my right ankle anymore. It's all carbon fiber. This hand is broken permanently. Doesn't move. Only my fingers. But issues like that, I can't lift more than 20 pounds. I can't squat for a long time, walk for a long time. Judge agreed when I went to court, when I filed for disability. I just do my YouTube channel now and stuff around the house, whatever I can. I can't do what I used to. 10 doctors, 20 different medications. It's changed my life tremendously.
What event had the most influence on you?
The biggest thing that impacted me personally was the death of my dad, actually witnessing him dying right in front of my face. That was probably the most horrifying thing I ever saw in my life. I have that burned in my memory forever. He was plagued with diabetes since he was 17 years old. So he had a multitude of problems over the course of his life. He had to have a kidney transplant. He lost both his limbs, his legs. He was blind in one eye. He was just in a miserable condition. He tried to work as long as he could. He refused to give up. And he died at 54. But he actually lived way longer than he should have. Just like me. It had the most impact of anything else in my life.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
I don't want to ask this next question, but what is the most memorable event of your life?
I can't really say one. I would just say my wedding, the birth of my son, and my son's wedding.
What was your first personal experience with death, and how did it affect you?
My first personal experience was, and I didn't witness anything like that, but first time I saw a dead person was I was probably about 8 or 9, and an aunt of mine had passed away. And back in the day, they used to have funerals at your house. And, you'd have the casket in the living room. It's more of an East Coast thing, I think, maybe. I don't know how much they did it out here in the West Coast. Especially the Dagos, Italians. they did that sort of thing. But we walked in the house, and everybody's dressed in black, and I'm going, what's going on? And my mom told me that my aunt so and so had passed away. She was actually my great aunt. And I walked up to the casket, and looked inside, and it was just weird. I touched her, and she was all cold, and I was like, ugh, I didn't scream and yell and want to run out the door, but it was a trip. I guess that's probably the closest thing I've seen, personal thing that I can remember as far as death goes.
What are you most proud of accomplishing?
Anything really that I have done in business, especially video production and voiceovers and radio and stuff like that. When I did other jobs as well, I ran those businesses successfully as well. I think I've accomplished a lot business-wise, and I think another big accomplishment is raising my son. He's grown to be a very responsible man, and he's got a good living going. He's been with UPS for years now, and he loves it, makes good cash, great bennies. His wife works with him too now. It's really neat seeing your kid being successful and on his own and not counting on me and mom, to take care of him, because that's I think that's annoying. It's a thing now, and it just bothers me to all hell. My son knows how I feel about it, and he feels the same way.
What would you do differently if you had a chance?
Well, I made a lot of mistakes as far as, trying, I said I was proud of my accomplishments as far as radio and stuff like that, but there were some way bigger opportunities that I missed out on just because of laziness, just wanting to party all the time. I missed out on a big job at KFI Radio back in the day when it was a music station in the 70s. I missed out on being doing a morning drive shift in Palm Springs, just because, I was an idiot kid. And if I took advantage of those, I probably would be a lot more successful than I am today. I probably would have got there a lot faster as well.
If you had a chance to meet somebody, who might that be and why?
I think Donald Trump. I would think he'd be interesting to talk to. I love his business style. He's an asshole, and that's the way you do business. You got to be that way sometimes. You don't get rich by being a nice guy. And I like that kind of attitude when you're trying to build a fortune. I think he's business-wise brilliant, so I would like to, I think he'd be interesting to talk to and ask him some pointers on how he runs his business.
Share with me something about yourself that you want to improve.
Hammer dance. Improve. Sorry, Janet. I shot for a particular goal, and I have succeeded, actually early in life. I wasn't planning on being disabled. I wanted to, do my job a lot longer. I don't need billions of dollars to be happy, and the wife and I are doing great. So I wish I had better health.
If you could be or do anything else, what would it be and why?
I think it'd be pretty cool to be like an airline pilot. I thought it'd be kind of cool. It's a really prestigious job. You got that cool uniform. You walk in there like you're, in the freaking airport. Get on the plane, everybody respects you. And it's just cool flying a plane. You get right up front where the windshield is, and you get to watch the birds. So I think it'd be cool flying through the clouds, and that'd be a neat job. I think it'd be awesome flying all over the world and stuff. I think it'd be kind of neat.
If you can live in another time, what might that be and why? When might that be and why? Excuse me.
I'd go right back to the 70s because it's the best ever. 80s were really good too, but 70s, hands down, were my favorite, music-wise, party-wise, girls-wise, everything. Good stuff. No bullshit like that is nowadays. People had fun and weren't so uptight. I go right back to the 70s and I put my disco suit back on with my platforms and shake my tiny ass on the dance floor. I like that, teacher.
If you could have dinner with 5 famous people from history, who would they be and why?
5 people.
5 famous people, yes, from history.
I know he's not a favorite, but Donald Trump again. Dr. Martin Luther King. As I mentioned, also John F. Kennedy. Phoebe Cates from the 80s. She's a big crush that I had. Mm-hmm. And then last one would be, let's say Raquel Welch. Back in the day. 1968-ish.
What one word would you use to describe yourself and why?
I'd say, I'd say lively.
What do you like most about yourself and why? It's up to your interpretation, how you want to interpret that question.
I don't know. I think I'm a pretty caring person, and I care about my fellow man, and I'm a very loyal friend and a very loyal family guy, and, I think I'm very good like that.
What do you dislike most about yourself and why?
I beat myself up over, stuff I really can't help, I guess, as far as the health thing and how I feel about it and how it affects things I do in life. Working, try to achieve something around a house as simple as that, or, trying to produce a YouTube video, it can create a mental block, and hinder my creativity. That sort of thing. That's probably one thing that bugs me the most.
Okay. What do you like most about others and why? Your fellow man, meaning when I say others.
Well, I always try to look for the best in people, and not make assumptions. Unfortunately, I don't hold a lot of people in high regard anymore. It's just the way humanity is gone. But there are some exceptions. I had a young gal, probably in her early 20s, and this is great for me. This happened a little while back. Walked up to me after I got a haircut, and in the parking lot, and said, "Excuse me, sir, you look really good. I think you're really handsome." And that was like really cool, guy my age, a chick that's young enough to be my granddaughter, and she said, "I just wanted to tell you that, and have a very nice day, sir." I said, "Oh, thank you so much." I go, "You made my day. I'm going to be like a little air in my step now when I walk out. I'm going to be on cloud 9. And, and you have bragging rights for the rest of the day. Guess what? A 20-something-year-old chick said, I look handsome or whatever. So it's you get people. I do that sort of thing too. I'll say, if I see somebody working hard, I'll say, hey, what, or has, a waiter or waitress is working really hard to take care of us. I'll tell them, hey, you're doing a really good job. Thank you so much for doing a great job. They appreciate it. And, I think when you do something like that, it goes on to others.
What do you dislike most in others and why?
Oh, don't get me started. Oh, good Lord. I hate the entitlement. I'm generally speaking, it's unfortunate. And yeah, I'm going to kind of badmouth some of the millennials and the Gen Zs, but, I think from my perspective, and, I'm not the only one, I think a lot of the younger generation nowadays are very disrespectful all the parents that raised us, the boomers, who had these millennials, were raised good, properly. So I don't know, I know that I carried that on to my kid, and I just think there's too much entitlement, too much, people are callous to, crime and violence against others. You see it all the time where somebody's getting their ass kicked on a subway, a little old lady, and everybody whips out their phones and starts recording instead of helping her. You see that all the time. It just irritates the living shit out of me. And I think it's evil, and those people are just as bad as the people who are beating that lady. They're no better. Put the damn phone down and help somebody. It's all about likes, and attention. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'm probably going to catch hell for it, but, that's how I see it. That's my piece.
If you could change one thing in your past, what might that be and why?
Like I mentioned earlier, those opportunities I screwed up to further my career at a very young age. I was also cocky when I worked at KZY. I had a good thing going there. I started up great. I still was doing good. In 1978, they got a different program director. And so they were changing the program, the format. And so this dude started just firing all these jocks that've been there for years. Turned it into an album-oriented rock format, which is not going to fly on AM. That's what I mean by that is, it's like listening to KMET or KLOS. It's album rock, and people want stereo for that, and they went to KMET, they went to KLOS, stuff like that. They don't go to AM 1190, to listen to Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. I got in a scuff with this guy, and so I walked out, just in the middle of the thing, just left, and I burned a pretty big bridge, so that was pretty dumb. There's probably another way I could have gone about it, but I let my temper get away with me, and I wish I did I screwed up an opportunity there. I could have got a lot farther probably, because I didn't get fired, but I was kind of one of those guys that I'm with the team, I love these other people, and it pissed me off so much I didn't give a shit, so I just left. Should have probably got more schooling. Sometimes I think I should have joined the military, give myself more discipline, maybe have I don't really have, I got a good retirement, so not really an issue there, but maybe maybe I would have taken a different career path.
What's one thing about you few people know?
A lot of people don't know about my medical situation. I don't, I've been up front with it. I put it on YouTube, as a, an informative thing for senior citizens on lupus. I did a video for that. I've also done stuff on my Facebook page, but that's a private page, and only my friends can see it. It's not public, so no one else can view this stuff. So when I talk about things like that on there, it's people I know well. It doesn't matter if they know. I told them it's a reason.
Anne Frank once said that in spite of everything, she believed people were basically good. Do you agree, disagree, and why?
Yeah, I do. Even though I have this attitude about the younger generation, I think overall, as a human race, taking in consideration everybody else that lives on the planet, not just millennials or Gen Zs, because there are very good millennials out there. I think for the most part, with this country, people are good. And usually tragedy brings the best out of people. When you have like the 9/11 situation and stuff like that, everybody helps each other.
If they made a movie of your life story, would it sell?
Would it sell?
Yep.
No.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. I don't think I'm that interesting enough. You got to have like a over the top amazing life, something that stands out exceptional to anything else that anybody's ever heard or seen before. And, my life in comparison, is to others is pretty much typical, even when you factor in the entertainment thing part of it. I don't think I'm a standout, and I think if they made the movie, which would probably be some crazy guy has too much money to spend, it would be a complete box office bomb. They'd probably be offering refunds at the door. The guy will walk in to buy one, want to be walking out for a refund. So that'd be one of those deals.
Describe a scene of your vision for the future.
I kind of see it a lot of my kid and his wife, and I worry about the younger generation as a whole, because things are really tough for them right now. It's tough to make a living. I would hope that someone would come up with cures for diseases I have that are incurable. I hope something like that comes up in the future. I'm not counting on it, at least in my lifetime, but maybe, you never know. And also other things, cancer, other incurable stuff. It's just not all about me.
Okay, one final question.
Okay.
How would you like to be remembered?
I would like to be remembered through the things I've done in entertainment. And I think I've already established my legacy, if you will. And, I have a pretty big mark on the internet. I'm all over the place on the internet, especially, when it comes to videos, radio shows, internet, music, television shows. I think I will be remembered by those in particular, because I think that's the only possible way people will remember me. People get forgotten over time. I hope family would remember me or something. I think for the most part, as a public and family, I think YouTube.
Well, thank you very much for letting me interview you and allowing me to do this. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. I wish it could have been a little longer. It was kind of short interview, but...
You're so funny.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for watching and listening to me. I appreciate it. Thank you, Janet. It was
Thank you, Chris.
Really nice meeting you.
Very nice meeting
Wonderful.
you, too. My name is Janet Harms, and I'm here today interviewing my guest, Pam Kalt, the wife of Christopher Kalt, for my profile assignment. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It was interesting interviewing your husband.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
He can talk. I can see why he was into the TV media stuff. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your family.
Me and my husband have been together, 42 years.
Wow.
We have one son, Christopher. He's an awesome son. We have great family and friends, all live locally. We just have a great support system, and it's really nice just having all the family around you. And, whenever you need anything, they're always there to help you. And we even have great neighbors.
How would you describe your husband?
Very super friendly. He talks more now than he used to, but he's always loved to talk. He's loved radio since I've met him. He created his own radio station logo, I think when he was like 13 or 14.
Wow.
And he's used it to this day.
That's pretty impressive.
He's just always loved music, anything, production, video. When he went to college, he did, the video thing, and where he would have been the guy when they produced the TV shows Like camera 1, you go here. Camera 2, the director guy that sits in the booth. That's what he would have done.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But he kind of, he was young. And he liked to party and, have fun too. So kind of got a little distracted.
So how did you two meet?
His sister worked for me. I was a fast food manager at a Taco Bell. And he came in one night, and I had dropped by my restaurant because it was the eve of my 20th birthday. And him and his buddy came in, and we ended up sitting, in the dining room. And he started tickling me and stuff, and nothing happened that night. And then we hooked up a few months later, but every time he'd see me, he'd mess around and start tickling me and chasing me and stuff. And so
Describe your first date.
he took me to the Movieland Wax Museum. But and then I think he even mentioned that he always took all of his first dates there, and I was like, really? Okay. When I met him on the eve of my birthday, it was his mother's birthday. So me and his mom are born on the same day, 20 years apart.
Oh,
So
wow.
I thought he was giving me some kind of trippy, sick pickup line, and I'm like, sure, your mom's birthday's tomorrow. Sure it is. Okay. Later on, I found out, yeah, we're born on the same day. So for the last 42 years, we always celebrate our birthday together.
Oh, that's cool. How did he propose?
We always liked the big yellow house. They're no longer around, unfortunately. And so he took me out there on our 1-year anniversary. So I thought, okay, he's going to propose. And we're in the whole restaurant. We eat the dinner, have a drink and everything else. And nothing. And then we get in his 68 Chevy van. And I'm sitting in there. I'm all dressed up. And, and then he asked me, and he opens the glove box, and he's got a ring in there. So of course I said yes. But it took him 6 years to actually marry me. Yeah. So we were at the Thanksgiving table, and my daddy's a Missouri boy. And so there was about 20 people there. And here's my dad with his, draw. Chris, you got 3 cars, you got a dog, you got a house. When are you going to marry my daughter, buy the cow, and stop getting all that milk for free? I'm all choked on my turkey dinner. And I'm like, Dad. And he goes, Pappy, because he always called my dad Pappy. Mm-hmm. And he says, we can't afford it. And he goes, I'll buy. I'll pay. And I go, you've been bamboozled by a country boy. And, a year later we got married.
Describe your wedding and honeymoon.
Wedding was phenomenal. And it goes by so quick. All that planning, and it just buzzes by. We got married in Buena Park at the oldest Christian church in Buena Park. I think in Orange County. I can't remember. And then my family rented 2 stretch limos, so we drove to the wedding reception at Angelo's and Vinci's, because my husband's Italian, so all the family from the East Coast came out, so they loved it. And so we took stretch limos there, and it was just a great venue. And an actor actually owned the venue, and his family still does. And so he even came and danced at my wedding, and he set everything up, and he worked the wedding.
That's cool.
What else did you ask me?
The honeymoon? Describe your honeymoon.
My family sent us to Maui for 7 days. And so, it was just awesome. We'd never been anywhere like that ever. And so my dad called me on the last night, and we had a condo on the beach. We just opened the door and walked out onto the beach. And my dad calls me up, and he goes, is everything okay? And he goes, yeah, I just wanted to remind you to make sure you come home. And I'm like, I'll live on the beach, Dad. I love it here. We went to a luau, and my husband had too much to drink, and he was luauing and hula dancing on the tables. I had to drag him down. And then they had a comedian at the luau. And he goes, who here's newlyweds? And I raised my hand, and Chris says, I am. And he says, how long you guys been married? And he just stared, deer in the headlights. And I'm like, 2 days. And they're going, wow, that long already, huh? And you can't remember already?
Tell me about your life with Chris.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. It's been great ride. I don't know. You always have your ups and downs and things that make you really strong and stronger. And, he was kind of adamant, I don't want to have kids. Well, surprise, surprise. So we had our son, and, he's like, it was the best thing that ever happened to us. So now I want to be a grandma, but I'm still waiting.
Next question would be, what was it like finding out Chris had lupus?
My husband always tells me bad news over the phone because I'll be at work. So that way, by the time everything kind of settles in and I control myself, get a handle on everything, I'm good by the time I get home. Mm-hmm. But my coworkers used to go, tell your husband to stop telling you bad news at work. But, because he had, even before the lupus, he's had a lot of health, issues. And he got a lot of the DNA, bad DNA from his dad. Mm-hmm. In 2011, he was diagnosed with lupus. And, they said basically it's 10 years, but it's been 11 years and he's stable and he's doing great.
That's great.
And so you just take it one day at a time and you got to stay positive, and we're spiritual and, there's God knows what he's doing and he always takes care of us. Sometimes we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, mm-hmm. but then it shows up.
How has his lupus affected your daily life with him?
It bothers him more than it does me as far as, things he can no longer do. Because I still look at, okay, you can't mow the lawn, but you still can able to do this. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of limits and, a lot of things make him sick and he's tired a lot and things like that. But you just, you make adjustments and you make the best of it.
What is the most memorable moment of your life thus far with Chris?
Oh, our son. That was the best. Kids are great.
What is your favorite thing about him and why?
Oh, he always makes me laugh. He makes me laugh every day. Even when we're driving, he's a character. And so, my nickname's Boo. The tickle bugs are coming out. And I'm like, no, they're not. I'm driving. And he goes, yeah, they're coming out. It's almost like a Jim Carrey, But, we have fun every day. It makes me laugh, and every day is different.
Would you change anything about your life together? If so, what?
No.
Oh.
He's the greatest, and I know he's my soulmate.
Where were you there at the company's inception, meaning CLK Productions?
Oh, yes. I bought him his first video camera. I was at Sears, and they had the demo on clearance. And I came home with it, and he was just like...
Kid in a candy store?
Mm-hmm. And that was the old school beta, and you had to carry around the VCR on your side. But he had so much fun, and then he passed it down to his dad when he got a VHS camera. Back in the day. Woo.
What were your thoughts when he told you he wanted to start his own company?
Oh, I was all for it, because, he was doing it for free for all the relatives and everybody. He's been doing it his whole life. He started as soon as whatever year, I think it was 82 when I got him his first camera video. And, he's been doing it ever since. But his dad, he got a lot of his traits from his dad for that aspect. Because we'd be, all the family functions, he'd be there with the big old light bar in the old school days with the 8mm camera videotaping everything. And, but blessed. My husband he's our family videographer, so we've got everything. He's got everything chronologically, he's got DVDs, everything's, our whole family life is on videos. And a lot of the kids, when they were younger. Oh, Uncle Chris, are you videotaping again? And now they're like, hey, Uncle Chris, can you give us a copy of all our videos? And they love it now.
How did you contribute to the launching of CLK Video Productions?
I'd order all of his logo wear. He's done some military funerals. And, he always has me scrub. He'd have me look at the finished work. And those were the hardest.
Have you ever participated in the production of a video or radio program with him?
Oh, yes. All of it. The whole gamut. I've done radio shows with him. I've been his production assistant when he's needed somebody. He's done some commercials. I've been there, like I think he did where they used Labradors and stuff with dogs, and I was there. I mean, gosh, I can't even count. A lot. And sometimes I felt like I was the gopher.
Do you know how to operate a camera if need be?
I'm better with cameras than video, but I mean, I can work it. I'm just not the greatest videographer. I'm more of a still picture taker. Yeah. I've gotten better from day one.
Did Chris have out-of-town shoots? And if so, how was it when he went out of town?
He always had somebody else with him, and, they'd go maybe to the desert or, it was usually just a couple days, and they always had a blast, because that's his passion.
What is one thing few people know about Chris?
Well, gosh, they all know he's a friendly Italian East Coast guy, but he's got a heart of gold. Sometimes he doesn't let everybody know that. I know, but he's a sweetheart. He's never ever missed anything. Birthdays, anniversaries, I know, and he's always been my support.
What is one thing few people know about the two of you?
Well, I used to be super shy. And nobody believes. And then my brother always has to say yes. And they go, no, you were shy. Even my coworkers now, they're like, oh, I get out there, I work at a school, and I get out there with the bullhorn. But he's always been a great mentor. Him and my son. They, he loves to teach young kids, the camera and radio and, because he's done it all. Music, television, podcast, radio. He does, video business, commercials. I mean, just, everything. And so he really enjoys being able to mentor.
That's amazing. Okay, so what do you look forward to in the coming years with Chris?
We want to try to travel and do some things, but it's hard with his lupus and all of his rheumatoid arthritis, and a lot of people look at him and they think because on the outside he looks perfectly healthy, and they look at him and they go, well, you look fine, and they don't understand that everything else inside is messed up. He's never afraid to try stuff. He's done so many things, and
Okay, one last question for you. How would you like your life together to be remembered?
We just want to be remembered for, my husband has so much video and stuff that he's going to be remembered for. But, just being good people and doing what's right and helping, and memories, and they last forever. And, he's part of that.
Yep. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. It was nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too.
This has been a Harms Media presentation in cooperation with CLK Video Productions.